So I've got Ghawth Rabbani Sheikh in front of me. So the plan is to tell you about the word of Sayyidina Ghawth. Say Subhanallah. So Ghawth Azam, the Ghawth Sheikh, how it started, the Ghawth, the significance and also the background of Ghawth Sheikh is that Sayyidina Ghawth Azam, when he went to Baghdad Sharif, and when he finally decided to give lectures, remember he did not give lecture until he reached the 50 years of his age. We started delivering lectures from the outset. And even before we become proper Maulvis, we start delivering lectures because that's the fashion nowadays. So there's a need as well. Because of lack of proper ulama kiram, we need to prepare more authentic scholars. Alhamdulillah, that's what Al-Qadriyyah is doing. We are preparing scholars for you, and Alhamdulillah, they occasionally come and speak to you on this forum, Alhamdulillah. So while we should be encouraged at the same time, and we should continue following the footsteps of ulama kiram in delivering lectures, but at the same time, look at the actual Sayyidina Ghawth. He did not step into this domain of speaking until he became Ghawth al-Azam. And he was a wali right from day one. Subhanallah. If wilaya was such a thing that would prevent someone from seeking knowledge, but and just doing Allah who is enough, or maybe dhikr of another azkar and taif, that would be enough. But look at Sayyidina Ghawth. He's born into the family of the Prophet Najib al-Tarafain. His blessed mother is a great wali of Allah Ta'ala, waliyah. And daughter of Hazrat Abdul Sawmi, who was also a great saint. And then Hazrat Fatima Ahmad al-Jabbar. On the other hand, Sayyidina Abu Salih Musa al-Jabri Dost, extremely pious. I'm not going to go into detail of how they got married. You keep hearing that. And how, mashallah, how pious they were, and how they attained the wilayah, and how Sayyidina Ghawth was finally born as a result of their marriage. But the day Sayyidina Ghawth was born was 1st of Ramadan. And from the day one Sayyidina Ghawth showed sign of wilayah. You heard that? He observed fast right from the day one. That's how people would realize in the following days that when Sayyidina Ghawth would not eat anything, would not accept milk from the blessed mother, then they would realize that Ramadan had started already. So right from the day one, they had shown the signs of wilayah. And he says, when I started going to madrasa, maybe 4 years or even earlier of age, 3 or 4 years of age, he says, I used to see the angels making way for me and also lowering their wings under my feet, subhanAllah. Yes, but still, Ghawth continued the path of knowledge. And there came a point when he was able to see Baghdad, standing in Jilan where he was, he's standing there, he was able to see Kaaba Sharif from his rooftops. Can you imagine the level of wilayah he had at that time? That's when he's in early age. As a child, he can see, he has no limit of the vision, subhanAllah. He can see Kaaba Sharif in Jilan. He said, I saw the Kaaba was doing tawaf of my house, subhanAllah. That was his level. So he could think that I'm already wali of Allah Ta'ala. Let me just sit inside and do dhikr and make some murideen, and that's how I can become more famous. And with a good intention, he could simply pass his faith on people in that state as he was. But still, he chose the path of knowledge. At the age of, young age, he left for in Baghdad. He said to his blessed mother that his father had already passed away, and he said, I want to go and seek knowledge. I don't want to stay here now. Something inside me is urging me and forcing me to go and devote myself in the path of Allah Ta'ala. So let me go. So while his younger brother, Hazrat Hamad, was still there, in the custody of the mother, she allowed him. And he said, when I entered Baghdad, I was 18 years of age that day, when finally reached Baghdad. The story is long, how he was attacked by robbers and they looted everything, and how finally he was back eventually reached Baghdad. I won't go to those details because I want to come back to teaching actually. So I'm saying that he made his effort throughout his life seeking the knowledge, even though he was a great wali of Allah Ta'ala. So lesson is that for us, we don't need to simply seek those peers who show us easy ways of finding Allah Ta'ala just by doing dhikr, Allahu, Allahu, and that's it. We need to attach ourselves to knowledge, because that's something we will question about hereafter. That's fariḍah. This box is talab al-ilmi, fariḍatun ala kulli muslim wa muslim. That this talab al-ilm is actually fariḍah, biggest fard upon us to seek that knowledge. And this is how we can adopt the actual ubudiyyah. So Sayyidina Ghawth, I was saying that till the age of 50, he sought knowledge. He said, Rasul al-ilm hatta sirtu qutban. In his Qasida Sheikh that we read every week and month, he says, I kept seeking knowledge until I was appointed a qutb of the time. Qutb is like the head of all of the awliya kiram. Until then I kept seeking knowledge, subhanAllah. And this is how I acquired the ultimate prosperity. So knowledge, the path of knowledge never stops. So if someone tells you that you don't need to seek knowledge and just keep doing Allahu, that's not good. He's your enemy, not your guide, and not your, not your sincere to you, and not mukhlis. So Ghawth throughout his life, he tells you about, even in his durus, he tells you about seeking knowledge, as Brother Ali mashallah also mentioned. But I got Fatwa Rabbani Sharif, in which he mentions, Ya Ghulam, O my servant. I will mention the kalam, Arabic kalam just for barakat as well. So the actual kalam of Ghawth has effect. My kalam cannot have any effect on you. Ghawth subhanAllah, he used to speak without mic. And he used to have audience of 70,000 and even more. And his voice would reach the last person just as it would reach the first person. And his kalam was such that one day he told his son Hazrat Abdul, his son, he was obviously by this time maybe 50 years of age. And he told him to speak. He actually sought permission, Ya Sayyidi, I want to say something today. So he sat on the membership and he said a few words. And obviously he was a great alim, son of Sayyidina Ghawth. Can you imagine? Great alim, he was studied right under his custody and right under him, subhanAllah. So he spoke great fluent, mashallah, Fasih Arabic and great hadith and Quran. But nobody moved. They all were listening, and maybe just as you are sitting here unmoved, you don't even say subhanAllah. They were sitting like that. See? Am I right? Feel the irony. And anyway, I'm saying that he said that, and he, mashallah, read beautiful kalam and ayat and barakah hadith, but nobody moved. But then Sayyidina Ghawth came, and he sat on the membership. And he said that he mentioned about, I think, a cat coming, and he said that I had some water in a glass. He just mentioned random, nothing about me, just random thing that I had some water in my glass after I sat after my namaz, and a cat came. I can't remember exactly, but this is how it was. A cat came and dropped the water. He simply said that. And entire majlis, 70,000 people, they started crying. But just hearing the kalam of Sayyidina Ghawth, that was the effect of his words. Because those words had ultimate ikhlas and sincerity. That's what he acquired. Throughout his life, he kept seeking the pleasure and ikhlas and tawheed of Allah Ta'ala. And that's what he teaches you. He says, Ya Ghulam, O my servant, أين عبودية الحق تعالى عز وجل? Where is the ubudiyyah? You've been created for servitude. Allah says that we created the man for ubudiyyah. إِلَّا لِيَعْبُدُونَ. I created the two races so that they would do my ibadat. And they would adopt my marifat as well. Where is that ubudiyyah? He said, هَذِي حَقِيقَةَ الْعُبُودِيَّةَ وَخُذِ الْكِفَايَةَ فِي جَمِيعِ أُمُورِكَ. He says, bring forward that ubudiyyah and acquire the haqiqat ubudiyyah, the reality of that ubudiyyah. That's the main purpose of your life. You need to seek that purpose of ubudiyyah and servitude in your life. And do everything for the sake of Allah Ta'ala. That's servitude. Because you were created for His service and His ubudiyyah. So every action that you do must be done for the sake of Allah Ta'ala. And وَخُذِ الْكِفَايَةَ فِي جَمِيعِ أُمُورِكَ. Because you're running after your rizq. And because you are seeking increasing your risk, and you want more, none of you, all of us basically cannot refrain from seeking more in our life. That's our culture, and that's how we are nowadays. That we want more. Although our banks, mashallah, might already be full, we might have enough and might already be earning enough, but we're still looking for another extra job. Those who drive taxi, they do overshifts, mashallah. And all of us do overshifts and extra time just to get more. So he says, choose kifaya. You only seek that which is necessary. Don't run after dunya, because that's not the purpose. In all your matters, look for what is necessary. Only do that's necessary and don't do the extra. And he says, Anta abdun abikun min mawlak. And you are a servant who's a runaway. You are mafroor. You run away from your Mawla, so you need to return back. Go back to your Lord. When you come back, do tawbah and also humiliate yourself in front of Almighty Allah. You can adopt humility in front of Him. Adopt His actions by adopting them, adopt His amr, His commands by adopting them in your life, and implementing them in your life. And also adopt His humility in front of His nahi. Whatever, all the things He forbade you from, His nahi, by staying away from that. And also adopt humility, bow in front of His qada, His destiny, His sabr wal muwafaqa. So these three things we need to focus on. Amr, His commands we need to adopt, and we need to bow in front of them by implementing them in our life, and staying away from the things that He prohibited us from, by staying away from them, and His qada, His destiny, by adopting patience and muwafaqa and complying to the destiny of Almighty Allah. He says that when these will complete, these three, then tammat ubudiyatuk, then your ubudiyyah by your master will complete, subhanAllah. These words are golden words. You need to save somewhere in your memory, or to write somewhere, or at least remember them if you can. Our recording is there, inshallah. You can also utilize that later on. And he says, when you will do this, and your ubudiyyah will complete, then you will get kifaya from Almighty. And He will be kafi. He will be in all those things that you need in your life. He will fulfill those for you, subhanAllah. As He says, alaysa Allahu bi kafin abda? Is Lord is not enough for His servant? Say subhanAllah. He says, Allah Ta'ala is Allah not enough for His servant? You're running after others, seeking risk from your workplaces and your companies and your taxis and your businesses, but you're forgetting that Allah Ta'ala is kafi for you, subhanAllah. He's the one He will provide everything for you. And He said, when your ubudiyyah will be correct and sahih for Him, then He will love you. When He will love you, and then He will put His hub in your heart as well, subhanAllah. And then He will bring you closer, and then you become His mahbub as well, and you'll acquire His proximity and qurb as well, inshallah ta'ala. And this is how you can adopt His qurb. And He says that all of this you can only get through patience. And you can't be running after things, and without staying patiently waiting for your actual destiny, you can't acquire this greatness and mercy from Almighty Allah. He says in the Quran, there's so many ayat in the Quran which actually guide us towards patience. They have been put there for a reason. The ayat in the Quran Sharif, every single verse is meant to be a source of guidance for us. So when these verses are there, they actually guide us, that there's so many verses telling about sabr, that there must be some khair, some good and some bounties hidden in the sabr, subhanAllah. And also the husn jaza, good ending and good reward that's in the sabr, and also ata, bounties of Almighty Allah, and rahat dunya and ukhra. He says that the raha of dunya and akhirah is hidden inside these sabr. He says, alaykum bihi. If you want to get all of these blessings that he just mentioned, then you have to adopt that sabr in your life. وَقَدْ رَأَيْتُمُ الْخَيْرَ عَاجِلًا وَآجِلًا. If you do patience, when it comes to commandments of Allah Ta'ala, you stick to them and don't run away. when it comes to difficulties in your path, you don't turn away from the door of Allah Ta'ala. Remain patient. If you do that, then he says, you will see the khair in dunya and akhirat. Ajala wa ajala. And he says, you can remember Almighty Allah by adopting the ziyarat al-qubur. Alaykum bi ziyarat al-qubur wal qasd ila salihin. So one way to remind yourself of the hereafter is by doing ziyarat al-qubur. And also make intention to seek, to do the ziyarat of salihin as well. And also perform all the good deeds. Come to gatherings like this to talk about the pious friends of Allah Ta'ala. Qasd ila salihin. When you talk about the dhikr of salihin, this is something that will open the door of khair for you, inshallah ta'ala. وَقَدْ إِسْتَقَامَ أَمْرُكُمْ. If that happens, then all your matters will naturally be put in place, subhanAllah. And don't be from those إِذَا وَعِزُوا لَمْ يَتَعِزُوا. And don't be from those who, when they are given the guidance, they don't accept that. And they only listen to that, and they put it on the side. وَإِذَا سَمِعُوا لَمْ يَعْمَلُوا. And when they hear something, they don't act upon it. So he says, your entire deen is destroyed by 4 things. This is very important to remember, my brothers. Entire deen, he says, ذِهَابُ دِينُكُمْ. Your deen will go away because of 4 things. First, الأول أنكم تعملون بما لا تعملون بما تعلمون. That you do not act upon your knowledge. You seek knowledge and you are given knowledge in these gatherings, or you know from other sources, but you simply, and it's very easy nowadays to get knowledge because you have social media. You scroll, you flip through the shorts on Facebook and YouTube and even TikTok and others, and you sometimes come across good information as well. But it's all, when you're only consuming the information, you're not applying and implementing on your life. So you then scroll to the next one, then you're distracted and you forget what you actually learned. So that's how your deen is destroyed, because you learn a knowledge but you do not implement that. لا تعلمون لا تعملون بما تعلمون. Second, he says, إنكم تعملون بما لا تعلمون. Then when it comes to acting, you act without knowledge. When you do namaz, your other obligatory actions, you do so without actually seeking knowledge. So you don't come to learn the knowledge of fiqh. And when it comes to practicing your deen, for example, your namaz and roza and zakat and other important aspects, even your marital life, so many ahkam of sharia apply to them as well. You have to learn how to treat your kids and how to, so many things in your life they need to seek knowledge about to the actual issues of fiqh that apply to them. But you don't learn about those. So you act without knowledge, act with ignorance. That is what destroys you. Third, he says, إِنَّكُمْ لَا تَتَعَلَّمُونَ مَا لَا تَعْلَمُونَ فَتَبْقُونَ جُهَالًا. That when opportunities are there for you to seek knowledge, meaning there are courses provided to you. We make announcements that there is new course starting. In our gathering, mashallah, we announced in the Milad Sheikh gathering that new course was starting in September. Guess how many people joined that? I won't tell you the actual number, but very few. I mean, next to nothing. This is our attention towards deen nowadays. If some other course was, some skill, maybe some AI course was being started, so you can learn AI now and become more effective in your life and in study, I'm sure people would run towards them. And where I teach actually, there's a course, the guy who runs the course of security, only 2 days course he runs. So that you can earn money now by simply standing on door, by doorkeeper course. I mean, it's always busy. And we have, upstairs we have Islamic college, and mashallah we have only 3 to 4 seats in our room, mashallah. Because people don't come towards knowledge. It's not that I'm lamenting the lack of mashallah, people in our college. Just saying that this is how people have become. They don't come towards knowledge. I maybe gave you 100 leaflets in that gathering, but only one person contacted me from that. And they were people, mashallah, present here. Just telling you this is the situation that's happening now. That people don't come, they don't, when opportunities are open to them, they don't avail those, don't adopt those. And then fourth is that he says, fourth thing that destroys your iman and your deen is that that you stop people from learning what they could seek and coming towards the khayr. And then he says, وَإِذَا خَذَرْتُمْ مَجَالِسَ الذِّكْرِ. That's very important. So when you come to majalis of dhikr, as you come here, then you تَحْضُرُونَ عَلِ الْفَرْجَةِ لَا لِلْمُدَاوَةِ. You only come here to seek temporary benefit, not the actual dawa for your illness and ailments. And when you listen to the wa'az of the speaker, he says, this is very common now. Imagine he's saying this 1,000, maybe 1,000 years ago. But that is exactly the you can say, a reflection of our time as well, a description of our time. He says, you simply turn away from the wa'az of the wa'id, someone who is giving you guidance and wa'az, you turn away from that. What you will remember only is mistakes he made in the wa'az, the words he spoke wrong. See, that's the situation. To be honest, if you all look down in your throat and see your situation, that's the case nowadays. When someone makes a mistake in the speaking, or gets one word wrong, we remember that. But the 10 words that he said right about it, we forget all of it. That's the Ghawth is saying that nearly 1,000 years ago, and that's applies now as well. But that you remember all of those mistakes that the speaker made, and later on you will be making fun of that, mocking him, and you will laugh at him, and you will make fun of him. But you won't come to the actual message he gave you, because this is, shaitan is simply misguiding you. وَأَنْتُمْ مُخَاطِرُونَ أَنْتُمْ بِرُؤُوسِكُمْ مَعَ اللَّهِ عَزَّ وَجَلَّ. And وَتُوبُوا مِنْ هَذَا. He says, if you want to become real, proper Muslims, then you must repent from this. And don't resemble those enemies of Almighty Allah. So these habits, they resemble habits of enemies of Almighty Allah. So you must stay, and so if you listen to kalam of khayr, you must take benefit of that as well. And also, you must remember that you have to do tawakkul on Almighty Allah, because you were not created for hawas, to run after your desires, and you were not created for playing, for la'ab, which is the case nowadays. You spend the majority of your time watching games or playing games on your computers or with PlayStations. This is the case with the youngsters, especially nowadays. They spend all their time PlayStations, or even on the phones and social media, or even the time that's left from this, they will be watching some football, or maybe cricket, or some other sports. That's the situation now. That's the reality. We have to face that. But Ghawth saying, this is not what we were created for, this la'ab. And we were not created for eating and drinking. We spend all our time earning money so we can eat better. And the small time that's left out, we go out eating out, mashallah. Instead of coming to masjids like this, we go eating out. As some people have left today, mashallah. Some shuyukh are eating out today. Yeah. They should remember, they should listen to this. When no one nikah, we were not created for simply sleeping and nikah as well. So he says, tanabbahu. It's important that you wake up now. It's like you're sleeping and you're completely unaware of your situation, and you're complete ghaflat and complete ignorance. It's time you come back. Ghawth is saying that to you. And he says, subhanAllah, Allah Ta'ala's mercy is such that you take one step towards Him, His mercy comes closer to you many steps, subhanAllah. He's waiting for you to come towards Him, subhanAllah. And He says, He is more, and He likes more the coming of muhibbeen towards Him. He wants to meet you. That's why what He created you for, His muhabbat. That's what He wants from you, so that you turn towards Him. Imagine, subhanAllah, your Lord, He's loving you, and He wants you to love Him, subhanAllah. Can you imagine that thought, subhanAllah? So why should we turn away from Him when He's, subhanAllah, providing us those opportunities, nights and days, so we can remember Him, subhanAllah. He sent so thousands, more than 124,000 more or less prophets. We just learned in Aqidah today, we should specify a number. So many prophets He sent, countless prophets. He sent all for our guidance. And he said he sent the best Rasul among us, subhanAllah. His own beloved he gave to us so that we could turn towards him. And then he gave us all these opportunities throughout our life. Every single gathering that you come to, every single time you come to namaz, these are opportunities for you to remember him. So these, subhanAllah, see how he is giving you those chances to come back towards him. But this is us still ignoring that, that we're delaying coming to him. He says, يَرْزُقُ مَنْ يَشَاءُ بِغَيْرِ حِسَابٍ. His risk, I'm only focusing on one majlis now, inshallah. If we finish this should be enough for us, for this gathering, inshallah. So he says, إِذَا أَرَادَ Abdul al-Amra هَيَّاهُ لَهُ. This is a matter of aqidah. Huzur said that was hadith of Al-Qadriyyah, that when a man is born, he's nearly 40 days in the womb of the mother as a sperm, a human being, a child. At that time his destiny is written by an angel. Allah sends an angel to write destiny and also blow ruh into the fetus. And he writes destiny at that time. Hadith Pak says, Allah Ta'ala asks, the angel asks Allah Ta'ala whether is he male or female. So at that time it decided male or female. Cursed or blessed. Allah Ta'ala says cursed or blessed, and then he writes down. Then whatever Allah Ta'ala decides at that time, that becomes his destiny. And who he will marry, how long he will live, where he will live, and whatever he gets in his life, everything that he gets, that's decided at that time. And this is what says, even if I and all those mustawad da'awat, servants of Allah Ta'ala, we make dua for that to be changed, that cannot be changed. Yeah? Subhanallah. This is ultimate qada mubram. There are many types of qada. One is mu'allaq, that is contingent. One is mubram, ultimate, unchangeable qada. So this is qada mubram. Things that you get in your life, that you're running after actually. The risk that you're running after, that was decided much before your birth, before the creation of the universe, that was decided for you. Well, he says that the word and asbab are running in such a way that when we intend something, that Allah makes it possible for us. Because He is the actual performer. I think I mentioned last gathering as well, that He is the one who is the performer. We don't have any power and authority. He is the one who grants us the power and authority. When we intend to do something, He makes it possible for us to perform those things. But because of that intention that we make, we will be having hisab of kitab and adab and thawab as well. So that's why Hadith Pak said, إِنَّمَا الْأَعْمَالُ بِالنِّيَّاتِ. Actions are based upon your intentions. So if you have intentions of khair, your majority of your thoughts and dominant thoughts are thoughts of khair that will take you towards khair. That's why coming together like this is beneficial, because then this is how you develop good thoughts, subhanAllah. And they then eventually take you to good intentions and eventually take it to the doors of khair as well. He says, هذا شيء يتعلق بالمعاني لا بالصور. This is something that you cannot understand. This is something that only, it's a secret of sarar and ma'ani that you can only understand if you sit in the company of the kiram. He says, when a person adopts all of these things I just mentioned, dhikr of Allah Ta'ala, and he adopts good intentions, and says that hawas and abin, adopts ubudiyyah, actual haqiqat ubudiyyah, the essence of servitude. When he gets that, then his zuhud in dunya and akhirah will be right. And his asceticism, turning away from the dunya and being attentive towards akhirah will be right. And then he will have a hubb, the love of Almighty in his heart, subhanAllah. So his purpose of creation will be fulfilled, subhanAllah. And this is what he is telling us in this entire majlis, subhanAllah. Just to make it short now, because time is running out, and we have to keep within time. And he says, woe to you that you spend all your life doing action for the makhluk. You wake up not for azan. You wake up to go because you will be late from work, or late from college, or maybe wherever you have to go, your meeting you have to attend. So because you worry your boss or your college or the workplace or the school, that's what makes you wake up. It was just for the namaz, especially on the Sundays. You miss namaz and you read qada on Sunday especially. This is the reality, because ta'amal al-khalq, you act for the deen, act for the makhluk, not for Allah Ta'ala. And you then expect Allah Ta'ala to accept all of your du'as and all of your ibadat as well. Because your entire life, even the namaz you do, you're doing that for al-makhluk. You come to masjid, if you really analyze our situation, sometimes our intention might be that if I don't go to masjid, that person would say that he's not coming to masjid anymore. And when we actually come to masjid, we think that guy is watching me, he might be thinking I'm a good namazi, mashallah. That's the kind of thoughts that go through our minds. And this is what destroys the ikhlas and sincerity in our play. He says, you do action for the sake of makhluk, and then you want Allah Ta'ala to accept your ibadat and du'as as well. He said, هَذَا هَوَسٌ مِنْهُ. This is just lust, hawas from you, and you have to completely take completely get rid of this, and قَلِّلْ فَرْحَكَ. You have to reduce your enjoyment in this dunya. Stop enjoying yourself. Let's focus on akhirah, because your ultimate, you have to face Almighty Allah, you have to face the accountability in the hereafter. قَلِّلْ فَرْحَكَ. Reduce your enjoyment, and come and وَكَثِّرْ حُزْنَكَ, as Hadith Pak says, increase your grief for the hereafter as well. And فَإِنَّكَ فِي دَارِ الْحُزْنِ, because you are in the Dar al-Huzn. Hadith Pak says, the dunya sijr al-mu'min. This dunya is meant to be a jail for the believer. وَجَنَّةُ الْكَافِرِ, and it's a jannat for the kafir. So if you are seeking all those names of Jannah in the dunya, then you're living the life of a kafir. But if you are seeking that huzn, grief, and you're worried about the hereafter, most Pakistani us, that is what we need to seek. And that's how Prophet was. He was kind of dying with tafakkur, he says. He would have a continuous tafakkur and thought. He will always be thoughtful, and he would never, very, very rarely he would smile. Yes, he would smile when he look at somebody, but majority of the times when he's on his own, he would be grieved for the ummah, and he would very rarely laugh. Throughout his life, on very few occasions he smiled when his best teeth were seen, subhanAllah. This is how his grief, and he was dying of tafakkur and dying of huzn as well. And he was always aggrieved. Illa tabassum. He used to only smile, which was tabassum, very light smile, so that he would make others happy and feel pleased because of that. So he would only smile because of that. Otherwise, he always had worries of the makhluk and ummah in his hearts, and ahzan of the hereafter as well. He said, لَوْلَا الصَّحَابَةُ وَأُمُورُ الدُّنْيَا. If there were no sahaba and other matters of dunya, there is nubuwwat, then he would not come out of his house. Aqad would not come and sit in the gathering. So he would always, and this is what we need to do, because we need to follow that footsteps of Aqad. Unless we come out of the tabligh, unless we come out of a good purpose and good intention, we need to avoid these gatherings from others. Many gatherings which are taking us away from the dhikr of Allah Ta'ala. So these gatherings which bring us back to the dhikr of Allah Ta'ala, these are important. We need to attend, inshallah Ta'ala, and we need to adopt the sihat in our khalwat. When our seclusion will be pure, only then we will be pure servants of Allah Ta'ala. When we come out, mashallah, in other places he says, that when you come out, the reality is that when you come out, mashallah, you show yourself as a great muttaqi. When you are in seclusion, only you know what you do there. Someone who is, mashallah, muttaqi, he talks about his time. He says time is such now that people who are muttaqi in jalwat, they are fajr when they go to their seclusions, because they have this thing in their hand. And you know what's shown on these screens nowadays. So, and people keep seeing that, mashallah ta'ala. And when they come out, mashallah, they pretend to be very pure and pious. And this is what was Pakistan 1,000 years ago. Imagine our time, when we had so many fitna and trials, and imagine his time, when they were those murideen, shuyukh who were sitting in front of Ghawth, if they come today, all of them would be great shuyukh, mashallah. They would be great Peer Sahiban, mashallah. And he's talking to them, and he's saying that, Ya Ghulam, it's very important that you have to do tafakkur in dunya. You have to think about this dunya and the reality of the dunya. That it's only temporary. You have to go to the hereafter, and you must think about the hereafter, and also adopt tafakkur of the akhirah. think about the akhirah. Spend the free time you have. You should sit down and contemplate and meditate the akhirat, the hereafter. How will you pass the sirat, and how will you go to Mizan? How will you stand in front of your Lord? And how will you go through that day, which is nearly 50,000 years and even longer maybe, for example. How will you do all of this? How will you go through all of that? If you think about that, that will give hayat and life to your heart. He says, التفقه في الآخرة علم وحياة القلب. That's what will give you knowledge and hayat to your heart. So think about that. And he says, think about your death. And the hadith Sheikh as well, he says, "Uzkur al-maut," remember the death. That is something that will bring you closer to Almighty Allah. And also he says that you must not attach your heart to the makhluk, and must not sit in the company of juhal. See what the company you're sitting in, what people you are spending your time with, because they are having direct effect on your life. If you sit with juhal, the wrong people, then you will have naturally you will adopt those traits. So you need to adopt good company, sit in the pious company, come to these gatherings more regularly, and sit in the company of good people, and have nisbat with shuyukh. Nisbat is very important. When you have nisbat with salihin, those who will tell you about the hereafter, those who will tell you, remind you about Almighty Allah, and plant the love of Almighty Allah in your heart, that is something that will take you closer to Almighty Allah. And it says that لا راحة للمؤمن غير لقاء ربه, that a moment will never become easy in this dunya. He will not adopt a rahat until he meets his Lord. So his ultimate destination is to meet his Lord. Only then he will find ultimate, inshallah, tranquility and peace, inshallah ta'ala. And finally he says, Al-Mu'minu mir'at al-Mu'min. Last thing I mentioned before we turn to dhikr, inshallah ta'ala. He says, Al-Mu'minu mir'at al-Mu'min. Mu'min is meant to be a mu'min is meant to be a mirror for his Muslim brother, so that he doesn't backbite him, but instead he shows secretly, he would confide in him anything that he sees bad from him. So he will be sincere and honest in his nasiha and sincerity and ikhlas and advice for his brother. And this is how he will come towards the dhikr of Allah Ta'ala. He says, takabbur Allah Azza wa Jal. Leave the arrogance on Almighty Allah, and remember your truth, your reality. Yarafu qadrakum, and remember your origin. You were a sperm, a drop of sperm. That's where you were created from. Allah Ta'ala's qudrat that He made you like a human being who can do things through His will. But it's ultimately His qudrat of Almighty Allah that He granted you this mashallah status in the world. So remember your origin. Don't forget that. And also remember that in the hereafter you will be questioned about every ni'mah that He granted in the dunya, and you will have to be questioned about this. So the best thing you can do is you can remove the worldly worries from your heart. And this book also says that as much as the worldly worries you can take out of your heart, do that. You get rid of the worldly worries. Don't worry about the dunya, because that's already decided for you. Yes, make effort. Do earn the risk. That's also a way of doing ibadah of Almighty Allah. But at the same time, do not worry about that, because ultimately it's Allah Ta'ala who's providing risk. It's a long discussion. Inshallah Ta'ala will continue that and grant His ability to learn and act upon what we learned from the kalam of Sayyiduna Ghawth Ta'ala anhu.